Welcome to Dining Delights. I'm Chef Chris. Today we are going to make a fantastic restaurant quality meal that you can use to impress your friends, family, everybody. I'm going to teach you how to make Bison Bolognese with the Tagliatelle pasta. Now, let's start by talking a little bit about bison. A lot of people are scared of bison. They think, oh no, I have to use ground beef, hamburger's the most important thing. But bison is actually a little bit leaner, has less saturated fats, more unsaturated fats that's good for you, also has omega-3 and oleic acid. So one of the things I really like is using bison. It also has almost a little bit sweeter flavor. So when I'm making a bolognese, I think it is a much better choice than ground beef. Now, in order to start, what I'm going to do is just pop some oil in this hot pan. I want a couple tablespoons of oil in there, simply for the fact that the bison is so lean. And then we're just going to go right in with the bison. You'll hear that nice hiss. And we are going to brown this bison. Our goal is not to get it to be completely crispy, just to get some color on it. Now, the reason we want to just get some color on it is we want it to stay nice and soft. So we're going to go ahead and break it apart and get it nice and reduced for a second, and then we'll pull it right out of the pan. Okay, our bison is getting nice and brown. That's exactly what we want. We are going to take it out of the pan. And I think what I'll do is just literally dump it all out and get the pan nice and dry in the bottom. Okay, and what we're going to go back into with the pan is pancetta. Now, pancetta is Italian style bacon. It's actually cured a little bit differently and then rolled up as the curing process goes. Has a much lighter flavor in terms of bacon, but a more Italian-y flavor. It is also pork belly, just like traditional American style bacon, but it does have a little bit better flavor. And what we want to do with this is we want to get all of those little bits of pancetta nice and crispy, and we want to reduce all that fat, and then we can add some more ingredients. Okay, it looks like our pancetta is getting nice and crispy. It's time to go in with some of our vegetables. There's a nice layer of fond, that base of brown bits on the bottom. We're going to use our onions, celery, and carrots right away to start adding some liquid and pull some of that delicious fond off the bottom. One of the other things that's really important when you add vegetables like this is you need to add a pinch of salt. Now, at the cellular level, salt draws out moisture. So what that does is helps your dish start to cook faster. So anytime you're using something like celery, carrots, anything that has onions, anything that has a lot of moisture, adding that adds a little bit of help and helps it cook down and also pull some of that good liquid out. It'll help deglaze the pan. So we're going to let these just get nice and tender, and then we'll be ready to come right back. Welcome back. We're just finishing sauteing our vegetables. The vegetables are getting nice and soft now in our bolognese. So what we're going to do is deglaze the rest of that pan with some nice white wine. Listen to that. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Now that wine is actually adding enough steam and hot liquid that's pulling off all the flavors, even pulling off some of that fond off the sides of the pan. So we're going to get a little bit of extra flavor. And what we're looking for is just to get all that good brown bits off the bottom. All of that is going to be flavor that's going to translate into how your final dish will taste. So once we get it to the point where the wine is cooking down, we can start adding some other ingredients. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add our bison back in. Now you'll notice that we don't have much fat in here, just a little juice that came out. So we're going to add that too, because that is in just delicious flavor that's going to go in there and help add more flavor and just keep developing new layers of flavor in our bolognese. Next thing we're going to add, this is a can of San Marzano tomatoes. These tomatoes are whole. San Marzanos are my favorites. There is no other tomatoes quite like them. They're certified Italian tomatoes, and they are just some of the best. They're the plumpest, juiciest, and just seem to have the best flavor, especially for something like this. We're going to stir those in, and they are going to break down, so don't worry about having a fit about having too big of tomatoes in there. Then we're going to go in with a bay leaf and a pinch of nutmeg. Nutmeg kind of adds a little bit of a earthy flavor, very, very aromatic, but it's just something that when people taste it, they'll know it's there, but they won't know what it is. So it's kind of a secret ingredient. And then we're gonna go in with 2 cups of chicken stock to start. This is house-made chicken stock, and we make our stock all the time here. It is much better to make it. That way you know what's in it, number one. And also, we do not add any salt. You can always add salt to whatever you're cooking, but you can never take it back out. So we always try and add salt when we're cooking and never have salt in our stock. Now what we're going to do with this is we're going to bring it up to a boil, and then we're going to reduce it down to a simmer, and we're going to reduce it for 1 hour, and then we're going to add a few more things. So look, I'll be ready for this in another hour. All right, our bolognese has now simmered for about an hour, starting to reduce quite a bit. So now we're going to add a couple secret ingredients. The first one, we're going to add a cup of whole milk. Now, I know that sounds kind of strange. Why would you put milk in a tomato sauce like this? But that milk is actually going to cook down. It will start to reduce, but it's going to add a rich, velvety texture to the sauce. And as it cooks, you'll notice that you'll start getting some little brown lines as it's reducing around the sides. Instead of ignoring that, that is caramelization, that is flavor. You want to stir that off the sides, and this milk will help build up even more of that. I'm also going to add a touch of butter. That touch of butter is going to do the same thing. It's going to float a little bit of extra fat in there, especially because we use that bison. That butter is going to just kind of cook right down, and it will cook just right into the sauce, just like that milk does. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to let this go for another hour and a half or so, just simmering. And while that's happening, we're going to start working on pasta dough. We need to make our tagliatelle pasta, so we're going to make it by hand, but we are going to cheat today a little bit and use a food processor to mix it up. It's okay if you like to do it on the countertop, that traditional method, but this is much easier because we are going to roll it all out by hand. And I'm going to go into my food processor with 3 eggs. These are large eggs. Make sure that they are definitely large eggs. And a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, a teaspoon of salt. Okay, and I'm just going to pulse that for 1 second, get the eggs mixed up a little bit. Like that. And then we're going to go ahead and add our flour. This is 2 cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to pulse just until it starts to come together. Then it will come together and start to form a ball. Okay. Starting to come together. Okay, we just want it to start coming together. You'll see it's starting to form a ball on one side of the mixer. We're going to take that right out. And we're going to take our pasta dough out. And the first thing we want to do is just knead it a little bit to make sure that it's completely the same texture. And you'll notice it even doesn't stick to the counter. It's just a very nice, smooth consistency. And all we need to do with this is wrap it up in some plastic wrap and let it rest on the counter for about 30 minutes, and we'll be ready to use it in just 1 second. Okay, our pasta dough has rested for 30 minutes now, and we're going to go ahead and open up the wrap. And it may be a little bit sticky because it does start to relax all the gluten fibers. The gluten strands build up when you knead that dough to start with, and so it does loosen up a little bit. And what I'm going to do is cut this into quarters, and I'm going to wrap the other 3 quarters so it stays nice and moist. And I'm going to start to roll this out by hand. Right here I have some semolina. Semolina is durum wheat flour. It is a little bit thicker than traditional flour. The nice thing is when you use it, it doesn't stick to the dough. It falls right off. Most of it falls off in the boiling water, so you don't end up with extra flour like you would if you just used all-purpose. Now what I'm going to do is shape this kind of into a square shape to start with. We're going to get our rolling pin, and we want to roll it nice and long, as long as the noodle's going to be. And I keep turning and making sure it's not sticking to the counter. It's really important. You don't want it to stick to the counter. Okay, I'm going to keep going and going over. Okay. Now, once we get this nice long shape, I'm going to shape it a little bit better to more of a rectangle again. One more time. And what we're looking for is just thin enough where you can start to see the color of your skin through the dough. So ours is just a little bit too thick still. We're going to keep going. Okay. Stretch. And now I can see the color of my skin through the dough, so it is now time. Looks like it's snapped back a little bit. We'll go one more. We'll shape. Back to the shape. Now we need to make sure we cover it with lots and lots of semolina. Okay, just like this. Now what we're going to do is roll this into pieces like this, and we're going to cut. We're going to cut. Tagliatelle noodle is long and skinny. So what we're doing is making this nice kind of roll up that we can cut all of the noodles at once. We're going to go just like that, and then we'll go right over. A little bit on the outside. Now to cut our noodles, I prefer a chef's knife or a bench scraper. You can also use a pizza cutter if that works better for you. But I think the chef's knife works the best, and all we're going to do is just cut like this. And we're getting some nice long noodles. I'll show you here. And once we unroll, you'll have a nice long tagliatelle noodle. And as soon as we get all these rolled out, we'll get ready to boil them, and we'll go to our next steps. All these noodles are now rolled out, and we are getting ready to cook them. And as you can see, our Bison Bolognese has now got nice and thick, the perfect texture that we want to make a Bolognese. What we're going to do is get our noodles in the water, and these are going to cook for just 3 minutes. Very, very simple. And we're going to get them right in this water. The water also is salted. You want to make sure you use a lot of salt. I try and salt about a tablespoon for a gallon of water when I put salted water in. So it actually adds that flavor, because pasta has a little salt in it, but not enough. So we're going to let those go for 3 minutes, and we'll be ready to plate up and eat. Our noodles are just barely finishing up their 3-minute time. So we're going to get those drained and utilize the pasta strainer itself. It works very well. And try and get as much liquid out. I am actually going to put them into a bowl today. Normally, if I made more noodles, I would put them right into this pan and stir them together. But I think this will be better, and we'll be able to control the amount of sauce that goes in. So it'll be perfect the way we want to eat it. We'll grab a spoon. We'll get some of this. Look at this delicious Bolognese. It's nice and thick. It's got a beautiful, rich color. Lots of sauce. We'll get it in there. Okay, and we're going to grab our tongs and get this mixed up. And we want to get a nice mixture in there. Now, maybe just a touch more. Okay, we're going to get a nice big twist of noodles here, right under our spoon. Twist. I'm going to go right to the middle of that bowl. Nice and tall. Maybe another one. Want a nice big pile. Let's add a little bit of pasta, a little bit of our Bolognese just for good measure. Fresh Parmesan cheese and parsley. And we are ready to eat our Bolognese and Tagliatelle. Thank you for joining us. As always, you can get these recipes at cookwithchefchris.com. Our Bolognese and Tagliatelle is the perfect Italian combo for your friends and family. So enjoy and buon appetito.